What's going on in here?
This is my drone. It finally came. I would like to dedicate this unboxing video to Ryan.
Dude, I'm recording right now.
No.
Oh my god, dude, what?
Unboxing videos are stupid. We're done.
What I do, what I do, da da
Oh.
do, da da do. What I do, what I do, da da do, da da do. What I do, what I do, da da do, da da.
I have no idea what I'm doing. I'm so nervous. It's a lot of money floating in the air. Okay, now we're gonna try and get a little more ballsy and like go out of the yard. Problem is there's trees, so like I have to navigate out of the yard and then up. I have been playing with the drone. I tried flying it indoors with some of the safety modes off. Bad idea. Lost my first 2 sets of rotors. Lessons are expensive, so you learn them quickly with these things. Luckily, there really doesn't seem to be any other damage to the drone. I have been waiting 4 months to own a drone and get some sunset footage, so I'm going to try doing that now. People can't be this crazy about drones, can they? Like, my first couple hours outside of my house with a drone, I've barely flown it maybe 10 minutes. And like, one of my neighbors rides by on a bicycle with his little girl and he's like, "That's a gas-powered aircraft. Those are dangerous. I ought to shoot that effing thing out of the sky." I'm like, what is wrong with people? It's crazy. Today, the country of America inaugurated a brand new ruler that will hold power for the next 4 years. Even though most of the country didn't vote, or voted for no one effectively, for some reason the small minority that did vote is allowed to select a ruler for the remaining people that didn't want any of them, myself included. So you have 20 some odd % of the people that wanted Trump over the alternatives, and you had 20 some odd % of the people that wanted Hillary over the alternatives that were fed them. And based on the rules of the game that the people that participated in that process apparently consented to, the slightly larger of the small minorities of people that voted won, and Trump is now president. And the small minority of people that lost are now subjected, like everyone else, to the rule of the guy that won. It's interesting to me the flash of strong negative emotion towards the system itself that appears and then vanishes after each presidential election. Whoever loses gets very righteously angry, and rightly so. They're about to be ruled against their consent for the next however many years the guy's in power. And so far, at least in the elections in my recent memory, every time there's always some complaint of some fraud or some rule that may or may not have been broken by whatever candidate won. And in this case, the losers are taking issue with the way the entire thing is structured. The winner of the popular vote doesn't necessarily win the game, so to speak. But the exact rule in question, or the thing that the losing side always has a problem with, is less important to me. What's important to me is that moment, that flash, where people, just for even a split second, question the validity of the system they're being subjected to. Right now you're hearing people say, "Not my president," which I think is huge. None of them are my president. But the average citizen doesn't make that connection. You don't have to consent to this. You don't have to accept this system. And for a brief moment, the losing side in these elections feels that and experiences that non-consent. So for the past 8 years, the people that I talk to about these subjects have been Republicans and right-wing people, because their consent in this case is the one being violated by the Democrat Obama being elected to office. And so now, for the next 4 to 8 years, it's going to be the Democrats that I get to talk to about these same points and same principles. That it's not right to have the hubris, to have the gall, to think that you have the right to pick a person to rule over everyone around you. It's not right. It's wrong. It's wrong. And right now they're feeling it. Unfortunately, there are a bunch of young people with more testosterone and underdeveloped frontal lobes at their age that are destroying stuff in the street as if that's going to help or even make a point, aside from making them look like idiots and sore losers to the general public. But after the dumpster fires and the cars that are on fire, after those fires are out, the fires in the people will also go out, and they will sort of succumb to or accept that the next 4 to 8 years are not going to go the way they wanted them to go. So I've gotten pretty good at talking to right-wingers about these topics. So the next 4 to 8 are going to be me probably going to have to be reworking my arguments to learn how to make these same cases to the left-wingers. The other thing I wanted to mention is that in these videos in Washington that you're seeing of these riots, these fucking children, these idiots destroying private property, is I don't think most people in the country are aware that there are active, real communists in this country. You can see in these videos people marching with red flags, people marching with red and black flags. Those are communists, and those are anarcho-communists, which are sort of two flavors of the same cancer, the same disease. These are dangerous people. Anyway, I don't want to get into all that right now. I just wanted to point out that I think more of the average American needs to understand the flags that they see being marched in some of these. The Antifa group, the red and black flags, the red flags, those are communists and socialists right there walking up the street. Now granted, most of them are people that are still too young to have any level of wisdom enough to think their way out of that sort of perfect world that the communist sales pitch provides them. And most of them 5 to 7 years from now will leave that in their distant past. But it does, at least, if nothing else, speak to the environment and the thought bubble that you'll find in most college campuses. That is the thought that is fostered. And so that's why we're seeing a lot of this in our streets actively. Overall, it's been a fun day. Some crazy stuff is happening in other places. I'm glad I didn't go to downtown. There's some stuff going on tomorrow that we might get to. We'll see how that works out. But I would expect a whole lot more drone footage. See you tomorrow.
Honor to be able to introduce for the first time ever anywhere the 45th President of the United States of America, Donald J. Trump.
On the shoulder. You adjust the microphone as you talk, man. Hands on the lifter.